Looks like I'm probably going to be working with a cast of about 26, not including kids.
In a production meeting for the Arvada Center's upcoming Evita, musicians, scenic artists, stage managers, and more get ready to set the stage for a memorable production. But for creative producer Rod Lansbury, setting the stage means first doing his homework on the real life of Argentina's Eva Perón, in contrast to how it's traditionally been presented in the musical Evita.
She becomes, this devil woman, that was only concerned about herself. And I really, in all the research I've done, I don't find that to be really true.
So this Evita production will yield a more human Eva Perón, who was First Lady of Argentina from 1946 to 1952.
She was terrified because, again, she just was this country girl, and suddenly she's being sent all over Europe to represent Argentina, and she's only 27. It became so much of a more fascinating story than I ever realized. I just always liked the musical. Now that I've been able to really get into it, it's fascinating.
Taking cues from history, Lansbury says he'll focus on the Eva Perón who found clever ways of handling wealth and power.
The First Lady was always the president of this huge foundation for kids that the wealthy ran. And every Christmas, they would make the orphans, they would dress them up in blue uniforms, shave their heads, and put them out in the streets to beg for money. This is what the charity did for them. When they asked Eva, they said she was too young to be in charge of it, and because they were all older, wealthy matrons, and she was too young according to them. And Eva was smart enough to say, "You're right, I agree. My mother will be in charge of it." So she put her own mother in charge of it, dismantled the whole thing, started her own foundation, and that's where the whole money started coming out of. So she had her ways that were pretty interesting. Life of Eva Perón.
Sizzling tangos and tamed opulence will dress the stage.
Brian's got a whole bunch of cool research. He found some great Tango Palace stuff.
And the concept that we're going with is that it extends from the idea of a tango palace in old days of Argentina. And so what we're going to do is combine some architecture from an actual tango palace that we found. I think the name of it is the Cafeteria Ideal. And then we're going to combine that architecture with architecture from the Casa Rosada, which is where Evita gave her famous speech.
I didn't want to recreate Casa Rosada. To me, it's pink. I don't want a big pink building.
We're looking at creating a very austere kind of governmental look with a strict feel. So we're going to use creams and blacks and kind of keep that color palette going. We've got just a little bit of like white gold happening as well. But just a very basic palette is what we're going to use for this, and it will really help the actors and the costumes to pop out.
The entire show will have only one set that's a semicircular wall where props and furniture can isolate different settings.
The only time we actually move to an exterior scene physically, what I've asked and we're trying to work out right now is that upper balcony actually rotates so that it does a 180 and we're on the exterior. It becomes an exterior balcony of Casa Rosada. Also, I've asked to use the large chandelier and floats over that. My image and goal is by the time we get to the waltz for Che and Eva, that it's just them on this massive dance floor with this huge chandelier.
Accommodating the chandelier and a two-tiered balcony on the main stage is a task in itself for scenic designer Brian Mulgrave.
Trying to get all the spacing right is proving to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think we're going to be okay. Since all the balconies are up there, the balcony needs to be supported, and then of course I want to treat it scenically too, so it looks good visually. So we're going now to put all these columns underneath everything.
It's much like building a house. Over the course of a few weeks, Mulgrave moves from conceptual drawings to refined ones that set builders can use.
Will there be like openings here?
Yeah, these are like doorways. So I'm trying to angle these in and then just cap it off at the top and have that element angle in as well. We're looking at incorporating little details to help show locale. And so on the lower level of the set, we've got all louver doors. And I think that will kind of bring a tropical feel to the scenic unit.
Scenically, this looks like a 5 to 6 week build.
I think it's exciting that we're going to approach this in such a different perspective. I think the audiences will really be in store for a treat.
How exciting! Next month, we visit with choreographer Kitty Skillman-Hilzebeck, who's working closely with Rod Lansbury on this dance-driven production. Evita opens April 21st. For tickets and information, call the Arvada Center box office, 720-898-7200.